So the last one for chapter 4, I'm going to repeat the definition of ecological niche. This one is a species pattern of living, including everything that affects its surviving and reproduction. So such as water, space, sunlight, food, temperature, etc. And then based on their niche, we can divide the species into different ways. One is generalist species. They have a broad niche. They have a wide range of tolerance. They can tolerate a wide range of temperature, of food variety, and then humidity, etc. And then examples are flies, even including humans ourselves and mice, etc. On the other hand, you have a specialist species. Those species, they have a very narrow niche. They only can tolerate certain pH, certain number. For example, you can see coral reefs. They only can survive at a narrow temperature range. And then one example the book gives us is panda. And then the general list species is, this one is raccoon. So you can see the graph. Any condition, temperature for raccoon could use a wide range, and then panda maybe not. If you're thinking about the food, especially, raccoon can eat everything. However, panda is only want bamboo, things like that, okay? This one also gives you a lot of birds in the coastal area. Each one has their own niche. So those reduce their interspecies competition. And then looking at a giant panda, this one is a highly endangered specialist. So right now it's only about 3,000 pandas left. And then pandas need bamboo. And then bamboo only can grow in certain area. So just by this one, make them has a very limited existing area. And on top of that, this one has a low reproductive rate. So females give birth to 1 or 2 cubs every 2 to 3 years. So this one also hinder their adaptation. And then the species, their function, they can be native species. They just belong to a certain area. They can be non-native species, or they can be indicator, or they can be keystone species. Indicator species, this one, they provide early warning of danger to a community. And then they also we can use them to monitor environmental quality, such as amphibians and also birds. So amphibians, those are major ecological role is their help to control insect populations. However, the following factors causing amphibians decline: parasites, viral and fungal disease, habitat loss and fragmentation, mainly caused by human being, and then droughts, increase in UV radiation, pollution, and overhunting. Also, there is non-native predators and competitors. Keystone species have a large effect on the types and abundances of other species. The loss of a keystone species can lead to population crashes and extinctions of other species in a community that depend on it. You are going to see an example soon. So keystone species can play critical roles in helping sustain ecosystems. Examples are pollination and then top predators. So this example is top predators. So American alligator is a keystone species because of its important ecological role. Its niche in subtropical wetland ecosystems. So they dig deep depressions or gator holes, and where hold fresh water during dry spell of aquatic life and their predators. So they create ecosystem. The large nesting mounds that alligators build provide nesting and feeding sites for other organisms. Alligators also eat fish predators, thus maintaining fish populations. So this keystone species was almost went extinct. So American alligator is the largest reptile in North America. So they are keystone species in their ecosystems. So in 1930s, they are hunted and poached. Some people like to use their skin to make bags and other things. Weird. So in 1967, they are added to the endangered species list. The good news is 10 years later, 1977, they got impressive comeback. So another 10 years later, they were removed from the endangered species list. So now more than 1 million alligators today in Florida. So the three big ideas of Chapter 4 is population evolve through mutations in genes in individuals. So certain genetic traits enhance individuals' ability to produce offspring with these traits. And then human activities are degrading biodiversity by hastening the extinction of species, by disrupting habitats needed for development of new species. And then the last part of the three big ideas is each species plays a specific ecological role. We call this one ecological niche in an ecosystem where it is found. So if we put all this together, they are talking about amphibians and sustainability. So importance of a species does not always match the public's perception of it. Not only we see we like it or not. So extinction of a species may lead to further extinctions. Everything in ecosystem are related, connected to each other. So biodiversity and evolution, they are vital forms of natural capital. Ecosystems help sustain biodiversity. If we want to protect the biodiversity, we need to protect the ecosystem. Below this is a short video. So in the AP College Board, one thing included in their curriculum is called island and biodiversity. However, our textbook does not cover this part, so I just included it here for some information. So if you look at island, so if you think Cuba is this main island, you would see some other small island nearby. So how the distance and the size of the small islands would impact their biodiversity. So this one is the focus we can talk about. So island biodiversity, this one is by E.O. Wilson's study. So E.O. Wilson is an expert on insects, especially ants. He's pretty famous. So he studied ants and led to the theory of island biodiversity. So I'm going to just skip a couple slides and then jump to the conclusion for you to see. Okay. So if you think this one is the main island, and then you have other small island nearby. So the idea is all the species coming from this main island. So the closer the island, the small island to the main island, the closer it is, the more biodiversity it would be, because the species migrate to the nearby island. And then on the other hand, the bigger the island, the more biodiversity it would be. So how do we understand that? Because the bigger the island is, the more resources you have. Thus, you'll be able to provide to host more species. Right, okay. So this one is some diagram for you to understand. So you can see this is the distance from New Guinea. This is the main big island. And then the small island, the nearby they are, the more biodiversity. So with the distance far away from the main island, and then biodiversity dwindling. The other example is to see the island area. If you look and compare with the surface area of the small islands. So the bigger island you are, the more biodiversity you are able to support. So we will do a experiment in class to emphasize these two ideas. Let me summarize to you again. So the island biodiversity emphasizes the species in the small island come from the main island. So the closer you are towards the main island, the more species you have. And then on the other hand, if you compare with the small islands, the bigger the island is, the more resources they would have. So the more biodiversity they will have. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. Thank you for watching the third part of Chapter 4 video.